says, I let my emotions get the best of me. And if anyone knows what's going on right now with the election, there's a lot of people upset. There's a lot of women upset. If you go into the women section on Reddit, there's a lot of people that are mad, upset, and frankly irrational. And one person who happens to be the upcoming Disney star for Snow White, Rachel Zegler, she ended up apologizing for her brash behavior in comments after the election. So let's see what she had to say. Okay, so you don't know. I believe last week or something, she wrote this on her Instagram, in her Instagram caption. It says, I find myself speechless in the midst of this, another 4 years of hatred leaning us towards a world I do not want to live in. Zegler wrote, leaning us towards a world that will be hard to raise my daughter in, leaning us towards a world that will force her to have a baby she doesn't want, leaning us towards a world that is fearful. She also said the country had a deep sickness and it was terrifying how many people backed Trump's vision for the country. Trump trounced Harris in the Electoral College, sweeping all battleground states, and he's on track to win the national popular vote as well. So that was from last week, election week, and he definitely did win the national popular vote, and he definitely won the Electoral College vote, as we saw. Zegler also wrote, may Trump supporters and Trump voters and Trump himself never know peace. And she called on her supporters to abandon X, the social media platform owned by billionaire Elon Musk. And she also put F Donald Trump. So yeah, that's something that she said last week. Remember, she is with Disney. She has a movie coming out soon. That's a remake of Snow White. And before I get into her apology, let me just point out some things that stuck out to me in this. So when she says it's leading us towards a world that will force her to have a baby she doesn't want, why is that the bar? You know, why is that the thing to go to? Because there are so many preventative actions that can take place before it even gets to a baby happening in the womb. So yeah, just the fact that it like jumps over all these preventative measures to straight to, oh, she has a baby, she has to have it. Yeah, I just feel like that's just so sad that it just skips all that. That I think it's just so sad that it skips all these other steps that could prevent having a baby in the first place. And then if you do have a baby, you do get pregnant. I don't know. That's just what happens when you decide to do things that make babies. Like if you do things that make babies, you don't take any of the preventative actions that are available, and then you have a baby. That's the part of the act of making babies. You make a baby if none of the other preventative actions are there, and that's just part of it. Why I don't understand why it's just a normal thing to want to be okay with getting rid of a baby from an act that makes babies. And if you're not ready for a baby, don't do things that make babies. I don't know. That's my thought on that. Leaning us towards a world that is more fearful. Yeah, so that's just initially what stuck out to me. Let me know in the comments what stuck out to you in that, because I don't know. I just, like I said earlier, I just think it's all very irrational, and everybody made it through 2016, and I don't. Yeah, I just have a lot of questions. And also, if your daughter, I don't agree with it at all, but if your daughter lives in a state where it is okay, it is legal, then technically she doesn't have anything to worry about. So there's that. So let's get into her apology. So her apology was, oh, also the fact that she okay, sorry. So the fact that she uh, just was like made Trump supporters and Trump voters and Trump himself never know peace. I just feel like that was, I don't know. I wouldn't wish that on anybody, to for anyone to not know peace. And either way, no matter which way I decided to vote, I would have been fine because I have Jesus, the peace of Jesus. Um, and that is everlasting. So, so even if someone did wish that I had no peace, I would have peace because I have Jesus. So I'm not worried about that. Um, okay, so let's get into her apology. Says, I would like to sincerely apologize for the election post I shared on my Instagram last week. I let my emotions get the best of me. Hatred and anger have caused us to move further and further away from peace and understanding, and I'm sorry I contributed to the negative discourse. She added, it had been an emotional time and everyone had a right to their opinion, pledging to contribute positively toward a better tomorrow. Yeah, so that's her apology, which I'm glad she acknowledged that she let her emotions get the best of her. I'm very glad she did because she could have just made some ranky dank apology that really didn't mean anything. And I don't know how a majority of people feel about her apology, but am I am glad that she acknowledged that she let her emotions get the best of her. And but I guess it was kind of backhanded when she said, um, everyone had a right to their opinion. So maybe that was a little backhanded, but I think it's good that she said that she let her emotions get the best of her. Because how many times we let our emotions get the best of us, and then the outcome is not what we wanted, or we end up hurting somebody. And when all we needed was to take a minute, pray about it, probably talk it out with the Lord, and ask Him to bring His peace into the situation, and all those consequences when it have happened. Um, yeah, so yeah, that's my thoughts on that. So pretty much like keeping our emotions and feelings in check keeps us from saying and doing things that would hurt other people, as it was saying. Because we hear all the time when someone gets angry or someone gets mad, they'll be like, "Ah, I didn't mean it. I was upset," or they'll say, um, or they'll say just stuff like that, like, "Oh, I didn't mean it. I was upset." When just take a moment, take a step back, really think about like how your emotions are affecting how you're acting, and just take that into consideration, and take other people into consideration too. Like, I'm not perfect. Like, sometimes I might be a little too logical because sometimes I'll be emotional about something, like in my mind and like in my head, but I won't really show it, but people can still tell like I'm upset about it. So I don't really know how to navigate that, but sometimes it's just better to be quiet, in my opinion. Like, I'm naturally to myself and naturally kind of just like quiet about things. And I think that adds a lot more peace than just constantly going at people because you're angry about something and making people uncomfortable, depending on the circumstances, of course. So the verse that stuck out to me for this whole topic situation is Proverbs 16:32. It says, "Better to be patient than powerful, better to have self control than to conquer a city." And I think in this moment and in this instance, she probably had someone higher up tell her, maybe her PR rep, maybe, I don't know, somebody probably was like, "Hey, you need to put out an apology because your career is on the line. It can affect ticket sales for the new movie coming out." When so instead of her just going out being like F Trump, everybody that anyone that voted for Trump have no peace, all those things. Honestly, if she just left that part out, it'd be like, okay, I mean, that's her opinion, whatever. So yeah, so be patient and have self-control because that ultimately leads to more peace in the world that everyone seems to want to claw at and want in the world. But how can we really do all of that if we're not patient people and if we do not have self control? So, my question to you is, was Rachel's initial response valid? Was it a good move to apologize? For me, was her initial response valid? Like I said, I think if she took out the last part where she was calling out people and saying that they shouldn't have peace and cussing out cussing the future president, no, I don't think that was valid. I don't think that was very respectful. I don't think there was decorum in that. But her first part, that is her opinion. That's how she feels, especially in that moment. Okay, you're entitled to. I agree with her that you are entitled to your opinion, but I don't think you are entitled to being rude and nasty to people. And was it a good move to apologize? I think so. I took it well. Don't know how a majority of other people will take it, like I said, but I think an apology and acknowledging that she got let her emotions get the best of her, then it is what it is.